I'm just going with the flow, man. I'm just here.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I'm just along for the ride.
You stole my line, Colin.
Cool.
It's your show, Sean.
Is it my show?
I mean,
then it is back to the Volkswagen podcast.
Yeah,
Let's talk about Volkswagens.
That and Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, man. If I could just have a podcast talking about old Volkswagens, a little bit of new stuff. Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Be pretty good. I'd run out of things in like one episode. I don't even know if I could make it through an episode.
This has been my one podcast episode.
Your content lasts 56 minutes. It's like, no, we're out.
That's it.
It's a docu-series. If you split it up into 2, it's a docu-series.
Yep. Is 2 the official definition of a series? We had this conversation at some point, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to batteries, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
2 things in a row.
You only need 2.
I was calling back to that, Sean, when we were ripping apart old Raptor.
Nope.
Or Ranger guy. Not Raptor.
Ranger, non-Raptor.
Yeah, non-Raptor Ranger.
Non-Raptor Ranger. I was just listening to the special that we just did, and it was good. I think I liked it and I enjoyed it. So
the Edison special?
Yeah, the Edison special, which will air, it's already aired. So
it aired on Tuesday.
That, so if you're listening to this, you should go back and listen to that.
If you haven't already listened to it.
If you have,
or you could go back and listen to it
just
again.
Listen to it again.
Because why not?
Yeah. I think
we need the plays.
Exactly. Okay, so things that we're going to talk about.
Wow.
Pause for effect.
Very,
sorry.
All-encompassing.
Yeah, I was just pausing for effect there. I brought to the guys today, just Jesse and Colin, that, first, by the way, we're on the Campfire Passport podcast. So.
I was curious when you were going to get to it, when you were just jumping right into topic number 1.
I was thinking about just dropping it right before I did anything. Like as soon as I realized we were recording, I was just going to start.
Just say it and then.
But then I decided against that. So I found a video. There's a YouTube guy that I don't know the name of, it turns out. I'm going to find, it's like Northwest something, maybe?
I'm gonna say like Tire Guy or something. I don't know.
No. Outdoor Auto. Outdoor Auto. Had a video about the BFGoodrich KO3, and it's a real catchy title. That's what got me. It says, has a secret, and secret is all in caps, that nobody knows about. It's really, spoiler alert here, it's not that big of a secret. Basically, they changed the tread pattern a little bit, which is kind of interesting. But the video itself, I thought, well, a little boring. I don't mean to undersell it here.
We're talking about
tire technology.
We're talking about tire tech here.
It's a narrow group of people that are going to be interested, and I'm interested in it. It definitely is something I'm interested in. He did a bit of research on the new all-terrain from BFG, which has been out for a little bit, but they don't have a ton of sizes out yet, and basically goes into a little bit of a discussion about how they updated their entire process and their machines to make a better tire. One of the biggest things being the consistency of how they get run out and everything on them, which is kind of cool. And then just some like differences in the tread thing. There's one gripe that I have with it that I want to go over. We don't have to do it right away because I want to kind of get to the overall point here. But the info is pretty good. He just kind of like goes through a rundown of like what they did to change the tire, what they did to change the process, and really the premise of the video though is him talking about how much engineering that goes into a tire's design, and how an off-brand tire does not have that same engineering. Now he's being he's assuming a lot, right? Because I'm sure there's some engineering that goes into it. There just kind of has to be, I think, inherently. But like, there's a company that had apparently reached out to him to ask him to design a tread pattern that he could then help them market, essentially. And he said no. Spoiler alert again, because the point being, like, high quality tires do not get designed by a low tier influencer. They get designed by an engineer, right? And one of the first things that Colin brought up is, like, when I said something about it, he was like, this is a parallel to don't buy shit wheels. Like, like that's
don't
the
buy
same
fake wheels,
thing.
don't buy fake parts.
Yeah. And I think tires, I think most people know this, but it's like, to me, wheels there's a certain standard with both of these things that they're probably safe, in quotes. I'm not going to go on that they're not safe, but like, when you're spending $400 a tire on a 37 or $320 a tire on a 37 for something that's like off-brand and cheap, it starts to become this thing where I think, are you getting as good of a tire for that, $320 total? Right? 80, yeah, okay. Math. So
Callback.
Yeah, there's your callback. So I just thought it was an interesting discussion. I think that we're all on, at least Colin and I are on the same team with, like, buy it right, buy a good thing. You can buy a cheaper thing. That's okay. Like, I'm frugal. We talked about that too. Like, that's fine. But, like, there's a difference between buying this is a bad example because it used to be cheaper, but it's not now, but maybe like a General Grabber versus a BFG, or buying a Fury MT versus a BFG.
A Ling Long.
Yeah, or a Ling Long. Yeah. So that's my thing, Like, it's fine, and you're probably not going to, like, endanger others. I don't like that soapbox that people get on because they're DOT approved. Like, I understand that regulation is flawed in many ways, but, like, pretty consistently, people are not just, like, having their tires explode all over the place. But are they as good in regular driving? Definitely not. Are they balanced well? Do they drive well? All those things? No, definitely not.
The performance is going to be lacking.
I'm sure that his assumption of, well, I mean, I don't know how far he was assuming his influence on the tread pattern was going to be, but I'm sure that there was going to be another level of engineering that would go into, hey, here's a tread pattern that looks cool. Now we can engineer that tread pattern to work optimally.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's not just he's going to fucking draw it on a napkin and they're going to fucking go make a mold.
Wow.
There's a lot of money when it comes to making molds for things.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like they're going to do some extra things on top.
Yeah.
On top of that.
I mean, that's like a signature shoe. That's how that works, right? Like, that's how they say, hey, skateboard guy, basketball guy, whatever, like, here, we want to make you a shoe. What do you think? The person says, hey, I like this. And they say, all right, cool. Let's throw that in the garbage and make something that looks kind of like it.
Yeah.
And then you end up with a
You're
Janoski
gonna
or
have
whatever.
These features and these colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a running joke at the Toyota in Wilsonville, and they call those cheap tires My Pops.
My Pops.
My Pops, because it might pop.
There you go.
So,
like it.
I thought it was a pretty slick little term. And, like, so when he was talking about those cheap tires, I kept saying, he's like, oh, you're talking about My Pops. Like the ones that are on my wife's car that I bought with. I bought the Toyota with it, with them on it. I did not buy them.
What are they? Call them out.
Oh, I don't even know the name of them. That's how bad they are.
That's
okay.
Good.
Well,
I saw
the Yellow Seas or
Green
Ball.
No,
I like Ling Long. That's one
Ling
of my.
Long's
That's one of my favorites.
the newest one on the scene.
They're starting to make some traction. No pun intended.
But they're not.
I've seen some ads for them on Instagram. I mean, take it for what it's worth with that tablespoon of salt. No, I'm talking about the ones on the Toyota, on the Land Cruiser. So, they have an advertising team. So, more than I can say for some tire companies.
I don't know. If you go to SEMA and you go to the tire hall, you will be amazed at the amount of tire companies you've never heard of. They're there with booths and tires and girls and calendars.
Calendars.
It's very odd.
Wow.
Very odd.
Was Achilles there at SEMA?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Achilles is there. There's many.
One of the things I did kind of find about that video interesting is that people were complaining about the fault of an all-terrain in mud.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's an all-terrain tire.
I'm like, dude, it's an all-terrain tire. You didn't buy the MT. If you got a problem with mud, then get a mud tire.
So my gripe about the whole thing was really the snow comment. He commented about how everybody says they're bad in the snow, and my experience has been exactly the opposite.
I right away thought of, Sean says that he's always loved KO2s in the snow.
Yeah.
So I don't...
Well, like the guy that he bought that Land Cruiser from, the Dirt Lifestyle Nate guy, he always talks about how great they are in the snow because they pack in and they make this like flat surface.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And maybe he's talking, I mean, even on the road, like I love mine on the road. They're great. I don't get it. You
got to remember, though, that the internet has a really dumb opinion. And this could be coming from people who potentially live in places like Portland that don't get a lot of snow, that don't have an understanding on how to drive in the snow, and they are expecting this high level of performance like, oh, this is going to stick on the snow like it sticks on the asphalt. Because that's what the advertisement
it's 3-peak
said.
rated.
Yeah, and then when you hit the snow, it acts like a snow tire. It still grips the way it should, but their expectations up here, reality and outcome is down here. So therefore, they're pissed off, and and instead of taking the blame upon themselves, where it should be for their incompetence in driving, they blame the tire.
Yeah.
Welcome to America.
Yeah, that many moons ago, I was working at a shop to be unnamed, and the owner's daughter, who had a Subaru, was complaining about how she didn't have any traction in the wintertime in her Subaru, ever. Now, we can go a little bit deeper here and find out that she's one of the worst drivers I've ever watched drive, because I would not ride with her. And it was more of a, hey, do you think maybe it's the input you're giving it? Because if you're driving it around flat-footed like you do when it's dry out, it's not going to give you a whole lot of traction, even with all-wheel drive, symmetrical all-wheel drive.
Yeah,
I hate to break it to you. Like, it's
true.
Kind of how it works. There's an adjustment you need to make.
Yeah.
And it's not in the car.
Well, it's like... It's the age-old saying that they have there's an age saying in kitchens, and it's not the knife that makes the chef, it's the chef that makes the knife. And a good driver can make use
Actually, it's
of
the knife maker that makes the knife.
Well, but it's, I mean, the same thing could be said for driving. It's like, you could give Lewis Hamilton a set of my pops, and he'll still beat the ever-living shit out of me on any racetrack, any day, any weather, because he's a better driver. So, if you're going to drive like shit on a shit tire, then you're going to get shit.
Shit.
I'm glad we could keep talking about Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, I had to bring it in, and I'll bring it back. I was not a Lewis Hamilton fanboy for a long time when he was winning, because I got sick of him winning. And now that he was losing, I was like, you know what? I kind of like this guy.
The classic conundrum.
Yeah, got to root for the underdog.
You can't like the guy that's always winning.
I will give some of the credit to Drive to Survive. And after kind of hearing him, the way he presents himself, the kind of person that at least he portrays he is, I actually kind of like the guy. Like, he seems like a nice person.
Yeah, I think so.
Unlike the vampire.
He's probably a nice person. He's just
probably is. Yeah,
a little, scary.
Scary looking.
Yeah, just
he might
worrisome when you look at him.
Yeah, yeah. I think my assumption is also that he's a good person. And that is something that I enjoy about watching him. And any post-race interview, I'm always excited to hear what he has to say. During the race, he is a crybaby, just like all of them.
They all everybody's
nonstop.
Yeah. It's always the worst for them. Yeah.
I don't blame any of them necessarily for saying some of the things that they say, but it's so funny.
In the heat of the moment,
Yeah.
it's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
No matter what you do. So
I can't sit here and say that I wouldn't do it. Like if somebody got brought in for a pit in the wrong scenario and it was supposed to be me, I don't care how nice I am and how many charities I run. I'm still going to complain because I want to win. That's how they got there.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, they didn't get there by losing.
No. You know who's losing right now?
Directing back to the
who's losing right now?
Go ahead, direct back.
I was directing.
I'll make a different.
I was going to.
I'll make a different transition. Okay, good.
The thing I do appreciate about the BFG KO2, which is the BFG AT, all of them except for the KO3, which I've never run, and was my only complaint with them, is that they're garbage on heavy duty trucks.
Yeah.
So
which they mentioned. That's interesting.
I'm very excited to see if those do hold up on your 3050s, 3500, your 1-ton trucks hauling loads. Because if it does, then I might actually put them on my full size. Because I would never put them on there. They're just a garbage tire on a full size.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've had 2 sets now, and almost like I wore 1 set pretty much out, and these ones will go, I don't know, this spring or something probably.
Mm-hmm.
And they're great. Like I don't have any weird wear. I don't rotate my tires like ever. I've done it, I think, once. I just don't take care of that part of it because it kind of wobbles no matter what I do. And man, there's just like no scenario that I don't like them. They pick up little rocks sometimes.
That's a tire.
All-terrain does that.
It seems like what tires do to me.
Yeah.
But God, they've just been great. Like, and I got 50,000 miles or something on the last set. Like in a 37 that's been chunked up on rocks and driven at 2 PSI, 3 PSI, that kind of thing. Driven at 20 PSI during the winter for a month.
Yeah.
Because
all winter.
Because I'm too lazy to air up. I want to be able to snow wheel at any time.
Yeah.
Just enough to not, to be fine on the street.
Yeah.
That's like my normal thing with those, and they're fine. So that impresses me. I hope KO3s are that good. I would assume that they will be. I would like to get them, but they're not going to make even a 37 by the time I need new tires, and I would love to have the 39 because I think that's a good in between.
The almost 40.
Yeah, almost 40s.
Well, I mean,
maybe they'll make a 40
if they're gonna continue to make them small, like they currently do.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. Is I'm curious if with the change in the molds, if the sizing is going to be more true to size, because BFG is the one that's very well known for being undersized.
I think that's just something about their design philosophy, maybe or something. I don't know. It might be the mold, though. Maybe it's something they didn't have great tolerances on, but it doesn't. I mean, it seemed like it was. I don't know. It's not like it's like millimeters out. It's like a half an inch different than every other tire, at least. So, that actually got me thinking about. I was looking at overall diameters on like the Patagonia 40 and the 38 versus the KO2 39. And it's a really close in between them. Like it's right in between them, ironically, because 38, 39, 40, obviously. But like it's closer to the 38 than it is the 40. And I thought that was interesting for putting it on my rig without cutting the fenders all the way out. So like the 40-inch tire guys cut out a lot. I don't know if I'll have to do that if I do those tires. So we'll see. Right. I can't find another person running them. I cannot believe it. There's JK guys and that's it. And JLs. Lots of JLs. And Colin. And Colin.
On a full-size truck.
Yeah.
How's his middle tread in that? Because he tows.
He tows. He doesn't put a lot of miles on his.
I was going to say, how many miles does he actually have on that thing?
I don't know.
Well, he drove it to the Rubicon and back.
And he does drive. Like he takes it to work and he takes it around town. And he does go they go camping, they do stuff with it. I don't know. He like his tires will I don't want to make predictions that I'm not going to be able to back up here. But
we're going to follow up on this one.
Yeah, I'm not going to make a prediction on this. I was going to say he'll either sell the tires before they get even to like 70% tread, or he'll sell the truck.
I think that's the more likely.
I did sell him one time a new set of tires for something, like a second set, one time. But I think the first ones were used because he was being cheap. So.
Yeah. Yeah,
it happens.
I foresee the change in truck, kind of like with Mike, how it's always, you always foresee the change in vehicle before any of the grandiose plans
come together.
Even like come, one step in.
All in.
It's always it's always the vehicle changes first. So
Well, maybe they'll make a KO3 for the size I want by the time I need tires for the Ford, because then I can actually put some miles on them. I mean, perspective on how many miles I put on my truck, it's been less than a year still, and I've already put 20,000 miles.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, like your Tacoma, I mean, that was 120,000 miles, and it was only, what, a 4-year-old truck?
Yeah, it's 4 years.
Yeah, Jesse puts miles on. So
yeah. So and with the Ford though, I do tow a lot.
Which is why, well, that's why you moved to the full size, was because the necessity of towing now too. So
yeah. Well, it was long overdue. I should have had a full size a long time ago, but hey, we're here.
Yeah, we're here now. Yeah, it was a fine video. Everybody should watch it if they're interested in nerdy tire tech.
More aggressive sidewall also was the other thing you
yeah.
touched on that I'm appreciative of, because that's always been, I mean, I have KO2s. I'm on my second set of them on 2 different vehicles now, but I've always, mainly because I found them for cheap, but I've always been a little like meh about their sidewall, because like the whole, with an AT, you kind of want a more aggressive sidewall because of the lack of quote mud traction or whatever, because that makes such a difference.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's when on all my other cars, I was always looking for, okay, what's an AT that's reputable enough and has the most aggressive sidewall, because I know that that's going to make a difference for how I use it. Not necessarily everybody's boat is not the same, but so it is nice to see that they built a more aggressive sidewall, because that's a difference maker.
They did it twice too, because they did a more aggressive sidewall just on the first design, and then the second design they did even more
updated design. Yeah,
so that's kind of cool. I did notice that they were different when, like, I saw the first picture of them, but I couldn't have told you what the differences were without sitting there and playing out like what's
going
missing
side by side like that guy did.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't know, they just look a little different to me. And then he went thing by thing, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense, and the reasoning why is really cool. So
yeah,
I appreciated the video. I know it's a little boring, but it's nerdy, and it's hard to make nerdy subjects interesting,
exciting, sexy.
Yeah,
it is.
Sure is. See this new sidewall. It's God. Bigger.
No, nobody likes that.
Oh,
my sexy voice isn't sexy.
No,
not sexy enough.
Yeah. I'm gonna need to work on that.
The other thing I had on my list, I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on, because I think that it is all over the internet, and every podcast you're listening to, if you listen to other car podcasts, is going to go over this. So I want to just drive in a tiny little spike about it and then move on, because I think everybody, like I said, I think everybody's talking about it. The big news that came out this week, which is the week of
9/11.
Yeah, it's the week of 9/11. Oh boy,
it's a 9/11 podcast.
Oh, well,
hey, at least we're old enough to remember it.
Yeah,
we lived.
I don't know
through
if that's
it.
an at least. Like,
yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot. It made me feel old. There's a lot of people, like a lot of kids, don't remember that, and I'm like, oh shit, like I'm old now.
Yeah, we're not kids.
not kids anymore.
Mm-mm.
Do I want to talk about that or not? I'm trying to decide. I saw a lot of like internet posts today about like unity after 9/11, and we all are pretty similar in age, so we were all at an age where I don't know if that made as much of an impact on us as it could have. But it is an interesting God, I can't talk. Man, it's an interesting thing that people are remembering and like being sentimental about, and I think unanimously people think that, and it is kind of a nice throwback thought that seems to come back once a year in the wake of a terrible thing. It seems to kind of instill this thing with a lot of people that are kind of playing, a few different sides of the world and saying, man, with that tragedy, even though people were divided in different things then, they, kind of pulled together to say, man, this sucks. Like, this is bad. This is a big tragedy. This is a big, terrible thing that has happened. And we, I don't want to say banded together because I don't really think that's necessarily what happened, but people unanimously just were sad and upset about it. And that kind of gives you a little hope for mankind. That to me, at least, it's
just too bad it takes tragedy like that for the mankind part to work.
Yeah, it does. It does suck for that. Like, that part is not good. But if we can all just kind of think about it a little bit, that's helpful.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my soapbox rant.
Always
That's
remember.
The one thing I saw today. GFC had an interesting post that wavered in and out of patting themselves on their own back about manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
But
they like to do that.
Yeah,
they're real big on that.
The overall point, they really do. There's a lot of it, but the overall point I did agree with, and I thought was very nice. But then a couple of people called him out, like by saying, like, really, X amount of people lost their lives this day, and your headline is that sucked, like. And I stopped for a second. I went, "Ooh, that's kind of in poor taste." You're right. So, anyways, but their overarching theme is like, really, it is our world is all of us normal people versus the crazy, elite that run things, and nobody is really out for the little person. Little person, that sounds weird. I was gonna say little man, that didn't work. So nobody is looking out for the 99% other than, us. That's it. And most of us are not looking out for each other. So that's kind of sad while we're trying to support these people that are, the 1% of the 1%. And it's just outrageous that we all think for some reason that anyone in those groups is going to save us. So they're not.
They are not.
So speaking of other crashes.
Oh, yeah, that was where I was going.
Yeah.
So crashes. In the news.
Thanks, Colin.
Yeah, thank you. That was, God, thank you for getting me off that. I needed an escape. Like, somebody needed to throw me a life preserver there.
Dug you out of that hole.
Yeah. So, big headlines this week. Hoonigan files for bankruptcy. That's the headline. The interesting thing that I saw, Ryan Zumalin...
is that it's not Hoonigan.
It's not. And I said it from the beginning because it really grinds my gears. Like, people... And it's not because people... it's not like somebody should know more or less than anybody else in the scenario. But I found it really confusing and like disappointing when people would see that and they would say, "Oh my God, how is Hoonigan $1.7 billion in debt? Like, do they not sell enough T-shirts? I can't believe that the content died after, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, that's not what happened here. There's actually nothing to do with that, what happened here. Like, there's some pieces to that puzzle that stick together, but Ryan Zumalin had a really interesting, Substack thing that he sent out. He's a journalist, and it was basically just clearing it up, like saying, listen, Wheel Pros is filing for bankruptcy. 27 companies under Wheel Pros are filing for bankruptcy together as a whole.
All of them
and
together.
All of them are owned by a different firm, Clear Lake. Yeah, so, that's the headline. And so everybody kind of really use sensationalism to like take the name
in the car community because they know that it's going to create
Now,
when you say Clear Lake is going bankrupt, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Nobody knows what Clear Lake is.
Everybody's probably being like, fuck
private equity. But when it's Hoonigan, you go, oh, Ken Block. No, that's not. That's like they cashed out.
Mhm.
That group, like the owner of that company, unfortunately passed away, but his partner sold it. And I'm sure there's way more to that story than any of us would ever know, and that's great.
Yeah. A lot of
And
behind the scenes
Good
things.
for all of them, for his family and for all the people involved. Like, I'm glad that they, made a huge product that was amazing and got out of it at some point. Like, whatever, that's great. But I just thought it was really interesting that the collective car community, or at least, 3/4 of it, was like, oh man, their content's really gone downhill. And it's like, well, yeah, also, that's not this.
Yeah.
There is 17 wheel companies that are part of this. That's more of what's going on.
Yeah. Well, and the content going downhill was nothing to do with that either. That was because of being bought out and the restructuring, and a lot of people in the content side of things got out.
Yeah, because they didn't want to deal with the crazy pressure and metrics that happened through that. If you've watched the donut thing implode as well, I'm not a big donut fan, but it's really interesting. Same deal. Company comes in, takes it over, tries to kind of restructure it a little bit, tries to put in an insane growth metric, and it doesn't work. And these people, just bail out because they figure out, hey, I can make this money on my own. Like, I can own this instead of being an employee that could just get fired.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's that capital investment company that they just don't care about the market. They don't care about the enthusiasts. They care about their profit.
Yep.
And how they can apply it, their product that they just bought, to make more money.
Yeah. Yep. Or to leverage it to buy something else to make the whole thing bigger. Yeah. Just make this snowball bigger and bigger and bigger until they just get out of the way.
Essentially, that's what they're doing by filing for bankruptcy, because they're going to get saved, essentially, because of their stature. And then they can roll that into the purchase of something else.
Yeah. And they'll get rid of anything bad. The low performers will get cut. Okay. So the interesting thing, the thing that I think is kind of relevant for our podcast is that one of the pieces to this puzzle is that ARB is buying 4-wheel parts, or they're set to buy 4-wheel parts from Wheel Pros, which is kind of an interesting, weird full loop thing. The crazy part about that I didn't actually know until just this week, looking through it, is that ARB, like International ARB, the big company, not just ARB USA, they own Off-Road Warehouse. And Off-Road Warehouse has been growing quite a bit, probably in some way because 4-wheel parts has not been. So they probably took some of that stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes up, where 4-wheel parts and Off-Road Warehouse stay under the same umbrella. From what I understand, Off-Road Warehouse is still owned by its original owner, but ARB has a large stake in it. So their investment will put the two of them together somehow. And it's similar, right, to the whole problem in a way, but I think it's, ARB is still a company that is held by its original owners, as far as I understand, and they're, I think, public in Australia. I'd have to double check that, but for some reason I feel like they might be. So, there's some interesting protections built into there, and look it up for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm on it.
And I don't know, who knows? Like, is Off-Road Warehouse just going to grow more, or are they going to rebrand it back as 4-wheel parts? 4-wheel parts has a huge name, so even though it hasn't been that big for a few years now, it's still an important piece of the retail space in off-road.
Yep, well, confirmed.
Their
corporation, ARB Corporation Limited, is a public company, locally owned.
That's what I thought. So that's pretty cool. Like, that helps, right? They're still a big bad business in a way, but they do manufacture their own product. They do a lot of stuff, so that's kind of cool.
It's still an enthusiast company owned by enthusiasts, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I was really hoping you were going to say the interesting thing about this is that somebody was buying us out. Be like, cool. Let's do it.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we're rolled up in this whole thing as well. It's pretty amazing. They're $300-400 in debt on us. So. And they're not looking, it looks like projection wise, they're not getting out of that debt. So
they're throwing Campfire Passport podcast underneath the bus. It's their fault.
Yeah, they're gonna package us off with like the golf cart wheel company or something, and just send us.
Yeah, we're the what was that Jim Carrey movie where he's part of that corporation that just
is it Liar Liar?
That like totally folds, and they make him the figurehead, like in the interview, like as they're selling all their shares and closing shop and everything. We are him in that.
Yeah, basically. Okay. Can you imagine us trying to be the face of the problem?
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, we're looking at the numbers here, and
clearly you can see by this Excel spreadsheet that I've been working on
for 10 years.
That's a lot of X's, Sean.
You've been working on that Excel spreadsheet for 10 years, Sean. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got that experience.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that's as far as we had to go on it. I didn't want to speculate a whole bunch or anything like that. It sucks to see companies fail. It sucks to see private equity mess things up, in quotes, right? Like, because I don't know the whole story. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they actually saved half of the companies and now it's this, whatever. Like, I'm willing to let the benefit of the doubt happen with that. But I'm watching this directly happen with Holly as well. Holly is, just gobbling up companies, and there's two sides of that conversation. Some people are happy with the amount of coverage that they have in their product line, and some people are not happy with the way it's going. So it's interesting.
Fun with Dick and Jane.
Oh,
thank you.
Don't they go like kind of crazy? Something happens.
They start stealing things.
That's right.
To make
like
a living.
A crazy rampage. Yeah.
Yeah, he's ambitious marketing executive, which is promoted to the top just on the day his corporation implodes.
That's right.
Due to embezzlement.
That's good.
We could only ask to be that famous, to be the guy.
The guy that gets thrown under the bus?
Gets thrown under the bus.
That big.
Yeah, in that big of a scale.
At this point in time, it's like, yeah, throw me under the bus because at least I'll have recognition and we can take it from there.
See, any pub is good pub.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody have a thing to share?
No? Oh, I didn't bring a car to share.
No. Well, anyway.
I did finish.
Any musings from Jesse?
No, nothing crazy.
You were supposed to do some research.
I didn't do it. I was waiting for you to bring it up. I didn't do it.
Oh, no.
This is the great thing about conspiracy theories. You just come up with bullshit, say it, and then never look anything up after that.
Zero accountability.
Yeah. It's feelings and conjecture. It's fine.
Yeah.
God. No, I started to look it up and I'm like, no, I don't really care enough. That was just a bullshit thing that I came up with. I'm like, I don't really fucking care that much.
Wow. Doesn't even care about his own conspiracy theories.
No, but you know what? Some crazy Toyota nerds will take it and run with it. Like the maybe one we have listening.
The one we have.
Yeah. No,
you don't know that there's only one.
I have a question for the one Toyota nerd. I think this is interesting. I have noticed that people say the name of that company in at least two different ways, right? There is a way that Jesse, say the name of the company.
Toyota.
Okay. And I say Toyota, which I think sounds different. Am I crazy?
No, you are not crazy, and I didn't hear it until right now.
I say it as a toy, and they say it as a
Toyota.
Yeah. So I thought for a while,
like Toyo tires.
Yeah. So our friend Pat says it, and I thought it was because of his accent. I just thought but then I started realizing a lot of people say it that way, Jesse being one. So I think it's two pronunciations, and I can't figure out why.
Well, we have to
it's been driving me nuts for years. This is my conspiracy theory.
We'd have to actually ask somebody who understands the Japanese language better, because it's where you're putting the inflection on the syllable change.
Yeah. I think that you're probably right, Jesse, and it's somewhere like it's like Toyota, basically, is kind of the way that it seems like that you're saying it, but just shortened up. And I don't know. I can't figure it out, but it's
the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. I never thought about
that. Go on that for a lot longer.
We just agreed with you.
Dang it. Hey, where's Mike when you need him? Come on, phone in.
Oh, boy.
Well,
He'll email us.
thinking of the Toyotas, I did just finish Steve's rear bumper.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we
Good.
yarded off the redneck.
The temp bumper?
Yeah, the redneck haphazard bumper, which is sitting over here. And my plan with that is I'm going to put a couple plates on it and put it on the internet for $100. See if somebody buys it. It's Rubicon ready.
Rubicon tested.
ready.
Rubicon tested, Rubicon ready. But I was mad for Steve when that company that he bought it from had advertised in multiple places and even told him in an email that their lead time was 2 to 3 weeks and that he would have it on time. And then it never showed up, and it took 9 weeks to get here? Almost 10. So, but once we got it, all in all, it's actually a fabulous bumper. Like the way they built it, it's really nice. And I don't remember the name of the company, which is unfortunate because I could give them a smash and a call out and a kudos at the same time, but I don't know the name.
Perfect.
But tire swing turned out great. It holds the tire and me sitting on the end of it. Steve is happy, and now we just got to start working on his front bumper.
Nice. It looks really good. There's one thing I was thinking about when I saw it today. The support on the passenger side, it looks like you made almost like a box out of it instead of making a triangle. Was there a specific reason for that? Were you for mounting something else?
Passenger
It's like more like a trapezoid shape, like the brace, instead of a triangle, right? Does that make sense?
I don't know what you're talking
You
about.
have a kink in there somewhere, so it doesn't go like.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Let me see if I can.
On the passenger side of the bumper.
So, sorry, the swing out part.
Okay.
Just that side of the swing out. So the
Driver's
support
side.
that goes. Yep, the support that actually goes to the passenger side. So driver's side looks like it's straight up. Right?
Oh, okay. No.
It's like kinked in there.
Driver's side. You're talking, why did I make a trapezoid instead of it straight up and down in a square?
Or a triangle. I thought you would make a triangle.
Why would I?
Just a triangle.
Because if I make a trapezoid, it still has that structural transfer, or the structural forces transfer between the different cross members. If you go straight up, you actually lose some of the force vectors in a way that, I'm sorry, talking physics here.
Yeah, I'm not following, but I'll listen.
When you have everything, the strongest shape that is around is a triangle. That's why you'll see most of your builds have triangles in them. So when I make the trapezoid, it actually continues to keep that shear force a little bit stronger than if it was a square.
Okay. I was thinking, so maybe I'm looking at it weird. I didn't realize it was the same on both sides.
It is.
Okay, that's why.
And
I thought it was straight on where the tire is mounted. So it went straight up. And then instead of making a triangle, I thought you just kind of put a little bend in the, you can't see me. Oh, you can see me. Like this.
No.
I thought it was like that, sort of.
No.
Not like this.
I mean, the listeners can't see you, but
It's this, except that in the center, I did put a center post to mount the tire to.
Okay.
And then that way, Steve has so much real estate to put things on inside and
table
out.
on that.
Oh, yeah.
He needs one.
He regrets not buying one when I bought one, when good old Bobby Culpepper was selling off his giant stack of them for he was selling
nothing.
the front ones for nothing because he just had them sitting around. Colin, you might remember how much I got him for because you picked them up for me, but
you prepaid. You guys prepaid. I want to say you guys only paid like $40.
Yeah.
Or something like that for them.
Oh, no, it wasn't you guys. I just bought a bunch because I was like, I want this. Like, I'm going to use them. And Steve, I only have one left, and it's for Raw Dog. And Steve is looking at it. He's like, shit, I should have bought one of those. I was like, yeah, you should have, buddy. because you're not getting this one. I'm a good friend, but I'm not that good of a friend.
Yeah, kind of in your complaint about how long it took the bumper to show up. I recently maybe have finally gotten to the end of my
your spring debacle?
Springs.
Oh,
Oh
really?
my God.
Yeah. I finally got an email response back last Friday. And this is after, so that's with 4 unanswered emails since, the original order was a month in advance of Rubicon. And yeah, they never showed up. Been emailing and finally got the email, an email response back, which I get it. It's not necessarily the fault of the people that I bought it from. The communication is because failing to give me
Just
the information that they have gotten is kind of ridiculous. But apparently, the company that makes the springs, it's a very low priority item that they don't make many of them.
Sure.
And every time that they have asked for an update on it, they say it's 2 weeks out. And then 2 weeks goes by and they ask about it and it's 2 weeks out. So their email to me was, we're probably going to have to just cancel the order, unfortunately.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I don't know if there is a way to get the spring pack that I wanted to get.
That sucks.
At all or ever.
Ugh. That sucks. That sounds like fusion energy. It's 10 years out. 10 years later. It's 10 years out. We swear it's coming. No, it's not.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed to see that, but now it's just a question of will I be seeing my money back? Or
Man, you better.
Yeah. So is this...
We can incite a riot with our 30 listeners.
Is this the leaf springs, or is this your coil springs? Okay.
Nope, I've got coil springs. It's the leaf spring. Coil springs came from somebody else and are made by somebody else as well. So.
Isn't that fun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the Leafs, and it's a reputable place.
That sucks.
Does it start with a D?
Yeah. Rhymes with fever.
Oh.
Not calling anybody out.
No.
I don't want to call them out or anything. But... Oh. I'm trying to remember the last long back order situation that I had. It's been a long time. I feel like I've been on the other end of that though so many times. I hate that job. But I think it's important just to even tell people you don't know anything. I would much rather
all I was looking
someone...
for was a response in most of my emails. Was like, could I just get and I even said it in an email, hey, I'm just looking for any information, a response, and I was not getting a single response. And again, that's not from Deaver.
No,
that is from the people that I ordered them through, because Deaver does not list them on their site.
Okay.
So it's like their own proprietary deal that they've got with them. And so that's probably why they don't make many of them or sell many of them, is because it's its own thing. But yeah, it was the company that I ordered them through that was not giving me any response, even after having someone who's seen as a lot more important in the off-road community reach out and ask, because he has connections there, about it firsthand, and get a response from someone there that says, oh, I'll look into it. That's weird that he hasn't gotten a response. And I still did not get a response. Even after that, it took another email and multiple days after the email to finally
get a response.
So we're looking at what? That's
4 months.
It's like 6 months. Yeah, or 4 months. Yeah.
4 months.
4 months, at least an email a month about like, can I have any kind of update, please?
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not
so
getting a
what do
response.
they say that the lead time is when you buy them? A month?
2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks. That's insane.
Yeah. That's what I was told on the front end, because they hadn't, because I had ordered a couple of things from this company, and because it was Rubicon Prep, and I was like, hey, what's the deal here? Like, it had been like a week or whatever, and I hadn't gotten any tracking number or anything, and I was like, hey, what's the deal with my order? I'm just curious, because I'm trying to prepare to, do a trip.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, it's 2 to 3 weeks for the springs, but we can send the other stuff right now if you want. And I said, yes, please, because then I can put that stuff in while I wait. And sure enough, they sent the other stuff out. No big deal. It all showed up. Good. It's on the truck now. It's been through the Rubicon, and it was just the leaf springs never showed up. They would have been like right at that.
Yeah, I remember you stressing out about it.
I might be able to put them in before the Rubicon, but they didn't. So I was just like, okay, whatever. They didn't show up. That's fine. I'll deal with it afterward. And then afterward turned into months and months, and I just am curious where my stuff is.
I am a little surprised that Deaver doesn't have a more pronounced, like not pronounced and just like as far as it's out there, like, or availability for a spring that is for the ZR2.
I mean, they're not. I don't know.
I mean, ZR2s are pretty big now. I mean, I feel like a lot of people have moved over to them. I mean,
yeah. I don't know. I mean,
I'm a Toyota guy, and I kind of could go back and be like, you know what? I like the ZR2 just as far as a platform more than the Tacoma.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's 4 year or 5 years of truck. I don't know how many variant like in spring there are in that amount of time, but like it's not a lot of time. I don't know. They're probably really busy selling Ranger stuff and like 63-inch leaf springs and that kind of thing.
A lot of their stuff is full size.
Yeah.
A lot of their spring stuff is full size trucks.
Yeah.
So
Tacomas.
Yeah.
I'd be curious. I'm sure it's not 6 months, but I'm curious, like, if you went to try to order a set of Devers for a Tacoma right now, if you could get them right away, or if they're, some sort of, like, there's probably, it's, so, like, King shocks, for example, for a long time, you could not get. It was 8 months or whatever for a long, long time. In fact, the company that you bought your suspension from, it was trying to get around that by building their own stuff because it was such a problem. So it's interesting to like have that, to be stuck with that same thing where you're like, oh well, sorry, we're at the mercy of this one company who is, by all accounts, a great company. Everybody loves them, so I've never heard a bad thing about them. So,
Yeah,
not once.
That's what was surprising to me as well. Like, it's you always hear about people using Deaver, and I don't know.
Strange.
I don't know what the deal is, but
Have
you ever called them direct?
No, I haven't.
It might not be a bad idea just to be like, hey, here's the deal. I'm dealing with this other company. I'm sure you know them. What's the real story? Like, are you waiting on production and that's in December only? Or are you waiting until there's 15 of them ordered? Or do you actually have them and there's a problem?
Yeah. It might be worth it. How long are your springs, out of curiosity?
That I don't know offhand, but I have a fairly easy way to find out because I can look it up.
Is Google?
So so there is I found this out via our friend Ryan, that there are springs for the... Let's see. Let me find it here.
On this episode,
anyway,
Colin
there's
Googles.
there's All Pro has springs for and it must be one of the forerunners. I thought it was for an Xterra, maybe. I don't know. He's got a set of like lift springs that he runs on his, but his is huge. But I remember he replaced some Chevy 62s, I think is what he said they were. And he said they were slightly too long. So I'd have to watch his video again to see what it was that he ran. But there's like some 6-inch lift spring that he's running now that is not technically for his truck. And they seem to work. So
the reason I ask is I was just trying to figure out if it's a feasible possibility to put Chevy 63s on it.
Right, yeah, which I mean obviously that would be the easiest of paths.
I mean if it's just
if I wanted to.
If it's just moving that shackle mount back, that's a weekend project. But
yeah. That's also true.
How deep do we want to go? How weird do you want to get?
Yeah, on this first iteration
Crap.
of the truck.
I found a good option for you. Chevy sells a long travel single rate leaf spring for those, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how much they cost?
God.
I think I've seen them.
I can't believe this.
If I remember right, it's pretty ridiculous.
Jesse, take a guess. And I'm looking at 3 prices right now. One is suggested retail, one is like a, this retailer, and then one is the best price I've seen. Take a guess, and any 3 I'll give you the win for.
Okay. So am I going for single spring or both spring as a spring package?
Oh, you know what? It's a kit. It comes with shackles, U-bolts, some other hardware. They do have bushings in them, and they are from Chevy Performance, by the way.
Chevrolet Performance.
Shackles, U-bolts, springs.
Here, let me give you the Chevrolet Performance ZR2 long travel leaf spring system is an optimized single rate leaf spring that replaces the stock ZR2 dual rate spring. Spring design relocates the rear axle for a better directed path of the rear tire to center in the rear wheelhouse in extreme travel conditions. The spring system also increases the rear ride height by approximately 30 millimeters.
An inch.
First question is, why didn't you just do that in the first
Barely
place?
more than an inch.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Let's say $1,700 for the whole package.
No.
Okay.
Suggested retail price $4,247.13. You could buy 4 sets of Devers for that amount of money.
Yeah.
Oh my! God.
What was the it rhymes with?
Fever.
Fever.
You could buy 4 Fevers for that amount.
So it's 79 to 95 Toyota rear long travel leaf springs that All Pro has.
Okay.
Those are what he runs, and you can get those in 4, 5, and 6-inch lift versions. He's running the 6, I know that. But in his video, which I don't know if Jesse will be able to hear it, but I think that Sean can hear it.
I can hear it,
but I'm also pretty sure that the audience cannot hear it.
No, if I can't hear it.
But he says on the front end what he was running. He says they're from a Chevy Square Body and they're too short.
The front or the rear?
Interesting.
So he took the front that's too short or the rear that's too short?
Doesn't say.
It would have to be the front because the rear on a Square Body is basically a 63-ish, if I remember right. Yeah. No, 63.
That's weird.
63s are from the OBS Chevys and on a little bit farther. I think the Square Bodies, mine are a little bit shorter. But because that was the other thought that I had, is that tough country, not to be mistaken for rough country. The guy that, I think his name is Tim, the guy who owns Off-Road Design and started it, he's like it's a square body performance company. He went through and he has gone through and calculated all the spring rates for all these different lifts and springs for square bodies. And obviously his is at the top because he's done so much research. They're engineered. They're perfect for what you need. But 2 or 3 down is tough country. And I got the tough country ones because they're cheap as dirt. But I love them. They work really good on my truck. So maybe that might be an option for the ZR2. If that's like, if you're in a bind and you want something that's better than what you have.
I mean, I'm not really in a bind per se. It was just one of those, like, it was the idea was it was my first stage of, like, the first iteration of how the truck is going to be, quote, built, was like a affordable but effective lift on it for now, because it's such a low mile truck that I might as well just use the fancy DSSV shocks that are in it, even though, I mean, they're not anything amazing, but they're better than, a regular shock.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just going to utilize that for the time being, and then when the shocks are shit, then go down the road of, okay, well, now I'm going to actually put some kind of mid-travel or long travel or whatever on the thing.
Jesse, I think you gotta go.
Dear Lord.
I was listening to, I don't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry, but I was listening to a podcast the other day, and this guy's dog was there, and apparently the dog must be there all the time, but the dog hated the guest. He's like, "What are you doing, man? The dog never is a problem." And I guess the dog's just like freaking out that this guy's there. So I thought it was funny. Anyways, apparently your daughter doesn't like us talking about Colin's leaf springs.
Yeah. No, apparently. Switching subjects.
Kidding.
Well, we could talk about the day that I get to actually work on your front axle, Sean.
Why? Why do you need to work on my front axle? We went over this. You don't have to.
I know, but
It's
I want to.
Okay. I don't know what we're going to do, but okay.
Fine.
You find somebody to buy my housing? No?
Actually, no. I was thinking about it, but I was like, no.
Anybody wants to straight axle their Toyota pickup or something?
Or 4Runner.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hilux, maybe, if you've got an imported vehicle.
It's already got a straight axle.
100 series?
100 series, you could do that. I have a non-locking 80 series front axle without the third member I forgot recently that I'm going to sell for, some money. Not anything crazy.
I can make it a locker housing.
Yep, can be modified if you've got the third member. But if you don't have the third member, just put a regular one in it, in an ARB locker, or like a zip locker, or anything that's not a factory one.
Yeah,
factory ones are great. Just don't worry about
Jesse, you could use it, and then you'd have a 105.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Yeah, you need the radius arms and stuff too, but that's fine.
But
I can figure it out.
Yeah.
Part way there.
So much work. I don't want to do that.
I mean, listen, I am having trouble even listing an axle for sale. So if you want to talk about too much work, I took pictures of it, and then I haven't been able to get the motivation to put it up for sale.
I just sold a set of tires for another person.
Nice.
Yeah.
You want to sell some stuff for me? I got some springs.
But you're pawning everything off.
this is great.
He just pawned a Mark IV lip off on his son
That's my son.
to
That's
make him sell it because he couldn't sell
so
it at
he
the
could
freaking
keep
car
the
show.
money.
There it is. Paul,
Yeah.
your son and I could make a business over here in the valley selling your shit.
Selling my stuff.
Yeah,
It'd be great.
selling other people's stuff. Don't let them know that you're selling it, though. That's the key.
That's the key. Yeah, I got nothing else.
You know.
Okay, cool. Good job, everybody.
Did you bring a? You didn't bring a? Would you pay money for that?
Nope,
Oh,
I didn't. There's nothing new on there, man. I looked. There's nothing good on
There
there.
are other websites that sell cars.
No,
You know?
I'm only looking at that because that is the.
I would bring up one, no problem, but you don't want to let anybody else do it. So
I didn't say that.
you did specifically. You said this is my thing.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
take it from me.
yeah.
But
I mean,
while we're still going, I'm going to find one thing really quick and ask you. Give me the thing. Nope, no sound. Would you pay money for this? Damn. And I'm going real curveball on this one. Can you see it?
oh God.
All right.
That has nothing to do with it.
Nope, not at all.
Here.
This is a 2018 Superlight GTR, which is a Ford GT replica with, it's kind of like it looks really close to a Ford GT, but it's also expensive, but not Ford GT expensive. It's got a Illuminator V8 with is it supercharged? It must be, right?
So it's a Dale Earnhardt. Oh no, he's an Intimidator. Sorry,
It's an Intimidator, not a
not an Eliminator.
yeah, definitely supercharged, 580 horsepower. Yeah, I mean, it's got a bunch of stuff. It's cool. It's gonna end on Cars and Bids in 15 hours, and it's at $90,000. And again, the premise of the thing is not, would you pay that much money for it?
Mm-hmm.
Would you pay money for that?
Right.
And I think Colin should just go first before I give my opinion of this. No, he would not pay money. Okay, Jesse.
No.
What was your first word on there? Or actually, it's the third word on there. Ford GT replica.
Which is exactly why
Fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring that up. As soon as I saw that, I went, "Ooh, interesting."
Immediately, no.
Okay.
No reasoning.
Anything
Just-
after immediately? Or?
No, why would I pay money for that? I don't like the color. B, I don't want a replica. I don't.
I don't like the color. It's the first point.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not.
First things first. I don't like the color.
Okay. And it's a replica.
Yeah, that's not my jam.